Hallo miteinander, I'm Gesh86 and this is Double Focus. Last time we survived a series of horror flicks. Wasn't very hard for Aya, since she is basically Gale Weathers. We also picked up our final and best present for Kisume. If you've also handed in all second-rate shelters to the little demon, you'll be given another bronze trophy at this point. There's a second, more tangible reward for delivering the ideal bucket in the form of the Crow skill. I made sure not to call it more useful because Crow is the most worthless passive in the game. It lowers stamina cost for Aya's wing flapping. Yeah, because you want to do that all the time. It's pretty much a joke. We saw a lot of action last episode and are now easily above the required kill count for Daijosei's quest. We'll briefly report back to her and collect our deserved spoils. This will not cause the Greater Fairy to escape. She'd still rather rot in her cell, carving the passing days into the wall. What it will do is grant us the treatment skill and advance her quest line. Our next assignment is saving Chirno. It's cute how Daijosei calls her my dear fairy. Treatment will improve the effects of cure books and cure book pluses. It will do you good in dedicated healing sets. About Daijosei's and Chirno's affiliation, in canon it's almost non-existent because Daijosei is barely relevant. Fans, however, tend to make her a sort of caretaker, usually far more reasonable and mature than the foolish ice fairy. It's time we continued exploring new places. You better make sure you're seated with what we have in the chamber to the left. This is Remilia? Remilia with a question mark. Momiji is going to say what we are all thinking here. The mistress of the Scarlet Devil Mansion has a peculiar look today. Apart from that, she will also frequently jitter, and she's deathly afraid of silverfishes. Aya seems strangely oblivious here, but is that the truth? Momiji has been the smart and down-to-earth person in our team, calling out her partner's idiocy, for example whenever we entered a new zone. Shakuya, I'm hungry. Yup, that's the name of her servant. Definitely the real Remilia. I think Aya deserves a turn at trolling. Miss Reporter shows her true wit here and ends up manipulating Momiji into thinking, well, I guess I'm the stupid one here, herder. Well played, Aya. We end up with a skill somehow. Thank you very much, 5 meters tall Remilia. We won't actually be equipping Fighting Spirit. It heals you on every kill. The problem is, we won't be fighting too many enemies anymore, at least not standard ones. That Book of Souls looks so tempting, visible but locked off no matter what we do. The real way to reach it is over here, where you would not expect it. That leaves only a single health extension left in the game. The lower levels of the sewers are not all that dangerous. No one down here who's out for our life, but that doesn't mean we'll only meet honorable folk. I'm speaking of this greedy interpretation of Komachi Onozuka. The Shinigami wants money or something that is otherwise valuable, or else she won't ferry us across the water. With that starts what is the most blatantly back and forth fetch quest of the entire game. It is going to take us a while and of course, it's mandatory. Our first stop for this is at Kozosu, and no, we are not getting a loan from her. Aya emphasizes this a lot. Just some helpful advice on what we might be searching for. What we have just set in motion reminds me a little of the trade quests from Zelda. Especially the one in Link's Awakening was quite a novelty at its time. Of course, Double Focus doesn't do anything that extensive. That one had like 15 steps and felt like an ahead-of-its-time satire of the modern fetch quest. The following dialogue starts weirdly. Such and such, dig here, woof woof. That's one way to skip the exposition for Kozusu. Anyway, we get something better than advice, a mysterious key. What could we use it for? If you're watching the Let's Play without having played the game, you can't possibly know. Simply because I never bothered to present to you the one single room that had a locked door in it. We would have spent time going there, only to learn, oh, we can't do anything here. Our destination is good old castle area, and once you see where we're heading, you'll understand why I didn't want to show it for the sake of showing. Yeah, it's that blasted lightning chamber. With our health pool, we would barely care if we got hit in it nowadays. That's how much we have outgrown castle area. And here's said locked door. It's opened without much fuss, and behind it is Shotoramaru and a new skill. Sorry, Miss Tiger Demon, we'll prioritize the skill over meeting you for now. Tornado is the closest thing Aya has to a melee attack. It lets you set down a lasting twister. You would think this attack to be very strong due to how impractical it seems, but to my impression, Giant Aerial Slash actually has better damage per second. You could just spam that one instead. Sho is of course part of Komachi's quest line. It quickly becomes obvious that our mission will be to find her pagoda. That is pretty much how the fandom summarizes Sho. Constantly losing the pagoda, that and curvy lasers. Those goddamn curvy lasers. Maybe if we help her, we can make Sho vow to never use curvy lasers again. Since the item could be anywhere, the game gives us a handful of hints. Sho has been to the desert, fell down a sand pit, and, as Momiji's nose detects, smells like candy. That should narrow it down substantially. Nothing else in this room, except mountains of golden baubles in the background that are useless because this game has no shop. Capitalism does not rule the book world. All the riches of the castle won't help us survive. This could be the point in the game where you might get stuck horribly. There's a chance you won't even know of the room the pagoda is in. It's not one that is easily found. We saw that a single treasure box icon was left on the map of desert area. That's what we need. Once again, we have to make methodical jumps. Sand monster fairies are never to be underestimated. Your first instinct might have been that Yamame has the pagoda, hence the tip with the candy. No, it is not that simple. Speaking to her will only give us the usual fluff, no connection to the quest whatsoever. Under her is where the mystical MacGuffin was dropped. Usually this would be Nasrin's job, but she was never sucked into the book world. How convenient. It's not too unwise to put a portal in this chamber. It's not the last we'll see of it. By now, we've set our warps in pretty much all the places I think are sensible to have. We can be a bit more spending with the few we have left. It'll save us some unnecessary dead air, which just happens when you're traveling around old areas. At least we're almost back at Sho, a character who never really resonated much with me. Independent of what I think of her, she is a strange creation all in all, since there is no such thing as a tiger demon. They had no tigers in medieval Japan. Technically, she is a demon of being afraid of what you think a tiger has to be like. It's like when the Romans thought the Carthaginian elephants were monsters. A mysterious parcel. Now this is a funny item. It is a package with white powder coming out of it. Baking soda? You'd wish. Our two Tengu are narcos now. Hope we don't get caught riding dirty, or else we're gonna have to bust a cap in some ass. How obvious is it that I had zero street cred? We lost an itty-bitty amount of health by foolishly crashing into spikes. What can I say? As outdated as it is, the lightning chamber can still be stressful. We're going to make a pit stop to heal. You never know, it might make the difference. Now we are getting back on track towards Komachi. Obviously what we have with us will be valuable to her. She wants the snow, the happy dust, the nose candy. Yeah, I had to look up all of those on a website. So, Komachi, what do you think of this merchandise? Seems like it's going to be good enough. Oh, I don't know about this. You know what they say. Don't pay the fairy woman, don't even fix a price until she gets you to the other side. Seriously, is this a fan joke I have never stumbled upon? That Komachi is some sort of shady drug baroness? Whatever the case, we've arrived safely. The only purpose of this room is to have a smoother transition to the boss fight. Who will be the fourth opponent of Double Focus? The cutscene starts quite peacefully, but I've already spotted a balloony pair of clown pants sneak peeking into the shot. Have you? Meanwhile, Aya is teaching Momiji some natural sciences about the moon, the ocean, tidal movement and fluctuation. Come on, girl, ruin the mood already. Thank you. It's the Menreiki Hata no Kokoro. Now it's revealed what the theme for the Enemies of Water City area truly was. It wasn't slashers or being R-rated, it was characters wearing masks. How appropriate to be fighting the personification of Japanese mask theater at the end. Kokoro is being all poetic, deep and emotional. She must be in that phase where suffering is art. It's all just insubstantial flash. She just wanted a reason to fight us in the end. No seeing Gensoukyo, huh? Even if there were one, there are no buses to get you there. Kokoro is much more typical than the previous boss. She has 3 attacks. With the white fox mask, she'll do a homing tackle. The red lion mask lets her spit out 3 barrages of fireballs. And her last move is a budget version of Monkey Possession, well known as the final spell card of most of Hopeless Masquerade's story modes. There it was. In summary, you just switch to your trusty wolf Tengu and block all of them. The lion mask leaves Kokoro open the longest. That's where the good hits come in. The most sudden and dangerous of all these is the monkey possession. Know that she'll only ever use it in the middle of the arena, though she doesn't have to. She might also whip out the fox mask. That was a fast victory, although still about 5 seconds slow of the trophy. I've learned recently that there are also speed kill achievements, and I have all of them except Kokoro's by now. Aya's nose. Pinocchio here makes it abundantly clear why Zun wouldn't give his Tengu mythologically accurate schnozzes. Kokoro will not join us as a summon like Byakuren and Shinmyomaru did. Her refusal is for reasons we would never understand. We don't know Kokoro's feelings. She does give us a besouled mask of hers, an artifact that will open up new possibilities nonetheless. That's all there was to Kokoro. It looked pretty easy, but know that she'll do loads of damage if she hits you with anything, and should you slip out of the fight's rhythm, it's hard to get back in. You likely won't lose to Kokoro often. At this point you'll be so used to Double Focus as a whole. She's not the one boss where anyone gives up. So, where to next? There's no obvious entrance to a 5th zone. our heroes recommended a return to base. Before we do that, we need to make sure to fill out all the squares in Kokoro's chamber. It's a little obsessive-compulsive, I know, but we do want to finish with a 100% map score. Now what is that mask we got? A peaceful one with a calming effect. It's been a very long time since we ran into a certain issue of hard-to-control urges. Calmness might be the solution for it. It won't be in this episode, we'll make it part of a future cleanup phase. That's also the last time we'll ever use the services of El Chapo here. Only a few more seconds and we'll be back at base camp. It's such a great place, isn't it? Flowery fields, music that makes you feel safe, blue sky, the sun is shining. Oh, where did the sun go? Where did everything and everyone go? At least the Jizo is still there. Turns out Aya's bullet pad is also a kind of book. The helpful notes meant to refresh the memories of our adventure have in a way betrayed us. They've become an anchor for the Book King. We can assume that Kozusu and Kisume have been taken through that sinister black and purple portal, and it's up to us to get them back. It may sound cruel and anticlimactic, but we shouldn't do that yet. That bullet pad portal leads to the absolute endgame. We have to tie up all the loose ends before we throw ourselves in there. Otherwise, the inferior ending to the game would be unavoidable. This wouldn't have been a bad time to split the episode. We already were at the Jizo. But there's something that'll just take us a minute, a pretty obscure secret of the game that even I have only heard of recently. Who did we get an archive entry of just then? I've got to be honest with you, I did not find her of my own merit, had to look it up. It was Parsi Mizuhashi. Parsi, like Nue, is another secret photo, and that's the extent of her relevance in this game. Doesn't that make you jealous, girl? With that, I'm Gesh86, this was Double Focus, and next time, The Little Mermaid, with an outcome much less tragic than the last time I referenced it. Bis bald!